Dr. Kim Tae-ho stared at the holographic display floating above his desk. The blue dots represented star systems where humans had made contact with alien civilizations. Each dot told the same story. First contact, friendship, sharing of knowledge, then silence. "Show me the timeline again," he said to the computer. The display changed. Numbers appeared next to each blue dot. The Valkyrie first contact, 2387. Last communication, 2389. The Corvani first contact, 2391. Last communication, 2393. The Nexari first contact, 2395. Last communication, 2397. 17 civilizations, all following the same pattern. Kim walked to the window of his office on Luna Station. Earth hung in the black sky like a blue marble. Down there, people went about their daily lives. They had no idea that every alien species they befriended vanished within 3 years. The door chimed. Commander Park Min-soo entered the room. He was tall and serious, with gray hair and sharp eyes. Behind him walked Dr. Lee Nairi, a young woman with quick movements and bright eyes. "You called for us, Doctor," Park said. "Yes. Sit down, please." Kim gestured to the chairs around his desk. "We need to talk about the disappearances." Nairi frowned. "The Galactic Council says they simply moved to distant systems. Natural expansion. Do you believe that?" Kim asked. Park shook his head. "No, I've been a soldier for 30 years. This feels wrong." Kim nodded. "Let me show you something." He touched the display controls. Okay, the hologram changed to show a star map. "This is the Valkyrie home system. Our long-range sensors picked up these images last month." The display showed a beautiful planet with crystal cities that sparkled like diamonds, spaceports with ships that looked like frozen lightning. Everything looked perfect and new. "It's beautiful," Nari said. "But where are the Valkyrie?" "That's the problem," Kim said. "The cities are empty. The ships are there, but no one is flying them. All the technology works perfectly, but there are no people." Park leaned forward. "What about the other worlds?" Kim changed the display again. "The Corvani homeworld. Same thing. Perfect cities, working technology, no inhabitants." Another change. The Nexari colonies. Empty, but undamaged. "This is impossible," Nari said. "Entire civilizations don't just disappear. They do if something makes them disappear," Kim said quietly. The room fell silent. Park's military training kicked in. "Are you suggesting someone is killing them?" "I don't know what I'm suggesting," Kim admitted. "Okay, but I know this. Every species that has made contact with humanity vanishes. Every single one." Nari stood up and paced to the window. "Okay, the Valkyrie were peaceful. Okay, they shared their crystal technology with us. We learned how to grow computers from living crystals because of them. The Corvani taught us quantum folding," Park added. "Our ships can cross the galaxy in days because of their knowledge. The Nexari showed us how to communicate across dimensions." Kim said, "Each species gave us something valuable. Then they disappeared." "Maybe they're hiding from something," Nari suggested. "Maybe there's a threat we don't know about." Kim pulled up another display. "I've been studying the communication logs. Look at this message from the Corvani sent 3 days before they went silent." The hologram showed strange symbols that shifted and changed. The computer translated them into English words that appeared in the air. "The humans have shown us the door. We understand now. The physical realm is just the beginning. Thank you for the gift of sight." "What does that mean?" Park asked. "I don't know," Kim said. "But it doesn't sound like they were afraid. It sounds like they were grateful." Nari sat back down. "I've been thinking about this for months. Each species we contacted was advanced. They had technology we could barely understand. Why would they need anything from us? Maybe they didn't need our technology. Kim said. Maybe they needed something else. The computer chimed with an incoming message. Kim opened it and read quickly. His face went pale. What is it? Park asked. Long-range sensors just detected something in the Nexari system. There's a signal coming from their homeworld. Nar jumped up. They're back. No, Kim said slowly. The signal is automated. It's been broadcasting the same message for 2 years. Listen. The computer played the message. Strange musical tones filled the room, rising and falling like a song. The translation appeared as text. To our human friends. We have found the path. You showed us. The door is open. Go to join the others who have seen the light. Do not mourn for us. We are not gone. We are more than we ever were. Thank you for the key. The message ended. The room was quiet except for the hum of the air recyclers. They're thanking us, Nari whispered. But for what? Kim looked at his colleagues. I think we need to find out, okay? And I think we need to do it before we make contact with any more species. Cog nodded grimly. The Galactic Council has approved first contact protocols with the Harani next month. They're a young civilization, just discovered spaceflight. We have to stop it, Kim said. Till we know what's happening to these species, we can't risk making contact with anyone else. The Council won't listen, Nari said. They think expansion and contact are humanity's destiny. Then, we need proof, Park said. We need to go to one of these empty worlds and find out what really happened. Kim turned back to the display. 17 blue dots. 17 civilizations that had welcomed humanity with open arms. 17 species that had shared their greatest secrets and achievements. And now they were all gone. I'll request permission to lead an investigation mission, Park said. We'll start with the Velithuri homeworld. It's the closest. What if we find something we don't want to find? Nari asked quietly. Kim looked at Earth hanging in the window. Okay, then we'll deal with it. But we have to know the truth. Too many species have disappeared. Too many friends have gone silent. He touched the controls again. The display showed the dates when each civilization had gone quiet. The pattern was clear and terrifying. Every species that meets humanity vanishes within 3 years, he said. We need to find out why. We need to find out what makes humans so dangerous that entire civilizations disappear after knowing us. Park stood up. I'll start preparing the mission. Okay. We leave as soon as the council approves. And if they don't approve? Nari asked. Kim's face was grim. Then we go anyway. Some questions are too important to wait for permission. The 3 humans stood in the quiet office, looking at the evidence of their species' terrible gift. Somewhere in the galaxy, the Harani were probably looking up at their stars, dreaming of the day they would meet other intelligent life. They had no idea that meeting humanity might be the last thing they ever did. The human ship Starlight dropped out of quantum space near Kepler for 4 to be the former homeworld of the Velithuri. Commander Park Minsu stood on the bridge, watching the planet grow larger on the main screen. It looked exactly like the old recordings, a world of purple oceans and silver continents. Initial scans showed no life signs, reported Captain Han So-young from her station. She was young for a ship captain, but her skills had earned her the position. Okay, but the cities are still there, and they're powered. Okay. Dr. Choi Jae-won looked up from his equipment. Chaologists had joined the mission to study whatever they found. Readings are incredible. Those crystal cities are producing more power than they were 3 years ago. Park nodded. Take us into orbit. It's full sensor sweep. The Starlight moved closer to the planet. Through the ship's windows, they could see the famous crystal cities of the Velithuri. Its tall spires of living crystal rose from the surface like frozen music. The cities glowed with soft light that pulsed like a heartbeat. It's beautiful, whispered Dr. Linari. She had come on a mission to study the communication systems. But where's everyone? It's what we're here to find out, Park said. So-young, take us down. Land near the capital city. The ship descended through the atmosphere. The capital city of Veltharion spread out below them like a jewel. Crystal towers reached toward the sky. Bridges of solid light connected the buildings. Gardens filled with strange plants covered every surface. But there were no people. The starlight touched down in a plaza made of white crystal. The landing pad was clearly designed for visiting ships. Everything was perfect and clean, as if the Veltari had just stepped away for a moment. Atmosphere is breathable, So-young reported. I recommend keeping your suits on. We don't know what we might find. Park assembled the landing team. Nari would study the communication centers. Jae-won would examine the buildings and try to understand what happened. Ka-juang would scout the area and watch for any signs of danger. They walked down the ship's ramp onto the crystal surface. Their footsteps echoed in the empty plaza. The sound seemed too loud in the silence. The crystal was warm, Nari said, kneeling to touch the ground. It's alive somehow. Jae-won pulled out his scanner. These readings are amazing. The crystal isn't just a building material. It's a living network. The entire city is one giant organism. They walked toward the nearest building. It looked like a palace made of purple crystal. The walls were smooth and curved, with no sharp edges anywhere. Doors opened as they approached, sensing their presence. Inside, the building was even more beautiful. Light flowed through the crystal walls like water. Furniture grew from the floor in elegant curves. Everything was sized for the Veltari, who had been tall and thin with long arms. Look at this, So-young called from across the room. She was standing next to what looked like a control station. The systems are all active. It's like they just walked away. Nari found the communication center in the next room. Dozens of crystal panels showed star maps and data streams. Messages were still coming in from across the galaxy. Trade requests, scientific papers, news updates, all going unanswered. They were in the middle of normal life, she said. Look at this. A message from their colony on Kepler 438c. It's asking when the next supply ship will arrive. That was sent yesterday. Jae-won was examining personal quarters on the upper levels. The bedrooms look like they were used recently. But there are no bodies, no signs of struggle. It's like they just vanished. Park coordinated the search from the main plaza. His military training made him cautious. Empty didn't always mean safe. But after 6 hours of searching, they found no threats, no bodies, no clues about what happened to the Velthari. So-young's voice came through the comm. You need to see this. I'm in the central spire. Park found her in a circular room at the top of the tallest tower. The walls were covered with crystal panels that showed images of space, but these weren't normal star maps. They showed layers of reality, dimensions folded over each other. What is this place? Park asked. I think it's where they made their final discovery, So-young said. Look at these recordings. She touched a crystal panel. The room filled with holographic images of Veltari. They were tall beings with silver skin and large eyes. In the recording, they were excited, talking rapidly in their musical language. The translation appeared as text in the air. The humans were right. Consciousness is not limited to physical form. We can see the path now. The door is opening. Another Veltari appeared in the recording. This one was older, with crystal growths on his skin. The transition is possible. We can join with the crystal network completely, become one with the living light. The preparations are complete, said a third Veltari. We will be the first to make the journey. The humans showed us this was possible. The recording ended. The room fell silent, except for the hum of the crystal walls. They did something to themselves, Park said quietly. But what? Jae-won's voice came through the comm. Commander, I found something in the archives. You need to see this. They met in the city's central library. The building was a pyramid of clear crystal filled with floating data crystals. J1 showed them to a section that glowed brighter than the rest. These are the records from there. Last days, he said, we're studying human philosophy and religion. Specifically, ideas about consciousness and the soul. Why would they care about human philosophy? Nari asked. They were more advanced than us. That's just it, J1 said. They weren't more advanced in everything. Look at this. He activated a data crystal. The hologram showed a Veltari scientist studying human brain scans. Human consciousness is unique, the scientist was saying. They exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. They don't even realize it. Another crystal showed more research. Humans bridge the gap between physical and quantum consciousness. Naturally, they gave us the missing piece of the puzzle. The puzzle of what? Park asked. A new voice answered from behind them. The puzzle of how to transcend physical existence. They turned to see a Veltari standing in the doorway. But this one was different. His body was made of crystal and light. He glowed with inner fire. You're alive, Nari gasped. I'm more than alive, the Veltari said. I am Keth Valor, former keeper of the archives. I chose to remain behind to explain to any humans who came looking. Explain what? Park demanded. Why we chose to leave our physical forms, Keth Valor said. Your species gave us the greatest gift possible. You showed us how to evolve beyond matter and energy. We are not gone. We are transformed. It's the crystal being gestured to the walls around them. The entire city is alive with our consciousness. We exist in the crystal network, in the quantum foam between atoms. We are everywhere and nowhere. But why? So-young asked. You had everything here. It's beautiful cities, advanced technology, peaceful lives, because physical existence is just the first stage, Keth Valor said. Humans live in both the physical and quantum realms without knowing it. That chaos in your minds, that constant questioning and dreaming, is the key to transcendence. What happened to the others? Park asked. To Corvani, the Nexari. They learned the same lesson we did, Keth Valor said. Humans are teachers, whether you know it or not. Every species you meet learns to see beyond the physical world. Crystal being began to fade. We must go now. The others are calling. But remember this, we are not lost. We are found. And we have you to thank for it. Keth Valor disappeared, leaving only a faint glow in the air. The humans stood in the empty library, understanding finally dawning. They weren't killers. They were something much more dangerous to physical civilizations. They were the key to evolution itself. Dr. Linari could not sleep. The meeting with Keth Valor had changed everything. She walked through the empty corridors of the starlight, thinking about what the crystal being had told them. Humans were teachers of transcendence. But how could that be possible? She made her way to the ship's laboratory where engineer Yoon Dong-wook was working. He was a quiet man who understood quantum physics better than anyone in the fleet. His equipment covered 3 tables, all humming with power. You're up late, she said. Dong-wook looked up from his instruments. I've been analyzing the quantum signatures we recorded in the city. Nari, this is incredible. Spheri didn't just disappear. They converted themselves into pure consciousness. Keth Valor said they transcended physical existence. What does that actually mean? Dong-wook gestured to his displays. Look at these readings. The crystal cities are generating quantum fields that exist in multiple dimensions at once. The Veltari learned to transfer their consciousness into these fields. Nari sat down next to him. But how? They were already advanced. Did they need humans to figure this out? That's what I've been trying to understand, Dong-wook said. I've been comparing human brain scans with Veltari neural patterns. Watch this. He activated a holographic display. 2 brain images appeared side by side. The Vellery brain looked organized and efficient. The human brain looked chaotic, with activity scattered everywhere. The Vellery brain is beautiful, Dong-wook explained. Every thought follows logical patterns. Very efficient. But look at the human brain. It's messy. Thoughts jump around randomly. We dream while we're awake. We imagine things that don't exist. That sounds like a disadvantage, Nari said. I thought so too. But then I found this. He changed the display to show quantum measurements. Human brains naturally exist in multiple quantum states. We think in several dimensions without knowing it. That chaos you see is actually our consciousness touching different levels of reality. Nari stared at the data. You're saying humans are naturally quantum beings? Partially, yes. Most species evolved to be efficient. Their brains work in one dimension, processing information in straight lines. But humans evolved differently. We're naturally unstable, always reaching for something more. Dr. Kim Tae-ho entered the laboratory. He had been reviewing the ship's records, trying to understand the pattern of disappearances. I heard voices. Okay, are you two making progress? We're making discoveries, Nari said. Dong-wook thinks humans are quantum beings. Kim sat down heavily. After what we've seen, I'm ready to believe anything. I've been reading the communication logs from all 17 species. They all say the same thing in their final messages. Humans showed them the door. What door? Dong-wook asked. The door to transcendence, Kim said. But none of them explained how we did it. They just thank us and disappear. Commander Park Min-soo's voice came through the ship's communication system. All senior staff to the bridge. We have a situation. The 3 scientists hurried to the bridge. Kark was standing at the main display, looking worried. Captain Han So-young was at her station, monitoring long-range sensors. What's wrong? Kim asked. We're receiving a transmission, Park said, from the Corvani system. But the Corvani disappeared 2 years ago. Play it, Nari said. The main screen filled with static, then cleared to show a being of pure energy. It had the shape of a Corvani, but its body was made of flowing light. When it spoke, its voice sounded like music. Greetings, humans of the ship Starlight. I am Zakorvani, once of the flesh, now of the eternal dance. We know you have visited our crystal friends. We know you seek understanding. The energy being paused, its form shifting like flames. You wish to know why we thank you? Why we call you teachers when you were younger than us? The answer is simple. You carry the key to the next stage of existence. What key? Park asked, though he knew the being could not hear him. Your minds touch the quantum realm naturally. Zakorvani continued. You dream in multiple dimensions. You imagine realities that do not yet exist. This gift, this chaos of consciousness, is what we needed to break free from physical form. The transmission began to fade. We are not the first to learn this lesson. Across the galaxy, species have made contact with humans and discovered the path to transcendence. You are the gardeners of consciousness itself. The screen went dark. The bridge was silent except for the hum of ship systems. Gardeners of consciousness, Kim repeated quietly. We're not just making friends with alien species. We're accidentally teaching them to evolve beyond physical existence. Dr. Choi Jae-won entered the bridge, carrying a datapad. Commander, I found something in the Vellery archives. A message they received from someone calling themselves the Gardener. The Gardener, Ari asked. Yes. Listen to this. Jay windivated the recording. A voice spoke, but it was unlike anything they had heard before. It seemed to come from everywhere at once. Children of crystal and light, your time of harvest approaches. The humans have been guided to you as planned. Learn from their chaotic gift. use their quantum nature to break the chains of flesh. Join us in the eternal garden. The recording ended. Everyone on the bridge stared at each other. Someone has been orchestrating this, Park said. These meetings aren't accidents. What? Why? So Young asked. Why would anyone want to make species disappear? Dongwook pulled up his quantum readings on the main display. Maybe they're not disappearing. Maybe they're graduating. Kept these patterns. Declared. The display showed quantum signatures from multiple star systems. Each signature was unique, but they all shared common elements. These are the quantum fingerprints of transcended species. The Valtheri, the Corvani, the Nexari, all of them still out there, just not in physical form. And this gardener is collecting them, Kim said, using humans as unwitting tools. Nari stood up, her mind racing. We need to understand what makes humans special. Why can we do this when other species can't? I have a theory, Dongwook said. Most species evolved to be efficient, to develop logic, order, predictable thought patterns. But humans evolved differently. We're the only species that regularly experiences cognitive dissonance. What does that mean? Park asked. We can hold contradictory ideas in our minds at the same time, Dongwook explained. We believe in science and magic, logic and emotion, order and chaos. This mental flexibility lets us exist in multiple quantum states. So when we interact with other species, Nari said, understanding dawning. We show them possibilities they never imagined. Exactly, we're like a key that unlocks potential they didn't know they had. Kim walked to the main display, looking at the stars. 17 species have transcended after meeting us. How many more are out there waiting for contact? The Galactic Council has approved first contact with the Harani next week, Park said grimly. They're a peaceful species, just learning to travel between stars. We have to stop it, Nari said. Till we understand what's happening, we can't risk making contact with anyone else. Something else, Jaewon said quietly. I found references to other species in the Valtheri archives. Species that transcended long before humans left Earth. This has been happening for millions of years. The gardener has been doing this for millions of years, Park said, using catalyst species to harvest civilizations. But why? Young asked. This was the point of making everyone transcend. Dongwook looked up from his instruments. Maybe physical existence is just the first stage of evolution. Maybe the gardener is trying to help the galaxy evolve to something greater. Or maybe, Kim said darkly, the gardener is collecting these transcended species for some other purpose. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity was not just exploring the galaxy. They were unknowingly working for an ancient intelligence that was systematically converting physical civilizations into something else. We need answers, Park said, and we need them before we make contact with anyone else. Nari looked at the quantum readings on the screen. Somewhere out there, 17 species existed in forms beyond physical matter, and an ancient being called the gardener was watching humanity's every move, guiding them toward the next harvest. The question was, what would happen when the gardener decided that humanity had served its purpose? The emergency session of the Galactic Council was held in the Great Hall on Earth Station Alpha. Representatives from dozens of human colonies filled the floating seats. Admiral Song Hai-jin stood at the center podium, her face graved as she addressed the assembly. The evidence is clear, she said. Every alien species that has made contact with humanity has transcended physical existence within 3 years. We are not explorers or diplomats. We are unknowing agents of transformation. Murmurs filled the hall. Commander Park Min-soo sat in the front row with his investigation team. Dr. Kim Tae-ho watched the faces of the council members. Some looked shocked. Others looked afraid. Few looked angry. Councilmember Bae Sung-ho stood up. He was an older man who had supported human expansion for decades. Admiral, are you suggesting we stop all contact with alien species? That we isolate ourselves? I'm suggesting we understand what we're doing before we do it again, Song replied. Okay. The Harani are expecting our arrival in 6 days. Okay. There. Young species, peaceful and curious. If we make contact, they will likely follow the same path as the others. And what's wrong with that? Asked Councilmember Yoon Mek-young. She was young and idealistic, believing that humanity's role was to explore and make friends across the galaxy, for helping species evolve to something greater. Isn't that good? Dr. Kim Tae-ho requested permission to speak. Council members, we don't know if transcendence is good or bad. We don't know where these species go or what happens to them after they transform. We only know they disappear from our reality. But they're not gone, argued Councilmember Lee Jun-ho. The Velthri told us they still exist. They're just in a different form. A form we don't understand, Park interjected. A form that might not be their choice. The hall erupted in debate. Some council members wanted to continue expansion, believing that humanity's gift was meant to be shared. Others demanded a complete halt to all alien contact until they understood the consequences. Admiral Song raised her hand for silence. There's something else. Dr. Kim's team discovered evidence of an entity calling itself the Gardener. This being has been orchestrating these meetings for millions of years. The hall fell quiet. Song continued. The Gardener appears to be using humanity as a tool to collect civilizations. We may not be teachers or friends. We may be harvesters. Councilmember Park Jin-woo stood up. He was a military man like Song, with sharp eyes and a suspicious nature. Are you saying this Gardener is controlling us? Not controlling, Kim said. Guiding. The Gardener seems to influence events so that humans encounter species at exactly the right moment in their development, when they're ready to transcend, but need that final push. The push we provide without knowing it, added Dr. Lee Na-RI. Engineer Yoon Dong-wook activated his portable display. I've been analyzing the pattern of human expansion. Look at this. Okay. The hologram showed human exploration routes over the past century. Our ships don't choose these paths randomly. We're drawn to systems with advanced civilizations. Drawn how? Song asked. I don't know yet, but the probability of finding 17 advanced species by accident is essentially 0. Something is guiding our choices. The debate continued for hours. 3 factions emerged from the discussions. The isolationists wanted humanity to withdraw from space entirely, staying in the Sol system until they understood their nature. Expansionists believed humanity should embrace their role as evolution catalysts and actively seek out species to transform. The moderates wanted careful study and controlled contact. During a break, Kim's team gathered in a private room. They have been working for days without rest, trying to understand the full scope of what they had discovered. What do you think the Gardener really wants? Ri S. Dong-wook looked up from his calculations. I've been thinking about that. The Gardener has been doing this for millions of years. It must have collected thousands of species, maybe tens of thousands, an army of transcended beings, Park said grimly. Or maybe something else, Kim suggested. Maybe the Gardener is trying to create something, a collective consciousness of evolved species. But why? Asked Dr. Choi Jae-won. What's the point? Before anyone could answer, the room's communication system activated. A voice spoke that seemed to come from everywhere at once. It was the same voice they had heard in the Velethri recording. Greetings, children of chaos and quantum dreams. The team froze. The Gardener was speaking to them directly. You have questions? The voice continued. It is time for answers. Room filled with strange light. Reality seemed to bend and twist. Suddenly, They were no longer in the meeting room. They stood in a vast space filled with stars and floating islands of crystal. Other beings moved among the islands. Some looked like energy, others like living light, still others like geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. "This is the eternal garden," the gardener said. The entity appeared before them as a shifting form of pure thought. "Here dwell all who have transcended physical existence. The Velthari, the Corvani, the Nexari, and thousands of others." "You've been using us," Park said, his military training keeping him calm even in this impossible place. "I have been guiding you," the gardener replied, "just as I guided the progenitors before you, and the dreamers before them. Every few million years, a species evolves with the gift of quantum consciousness. These species become the keys that unlock transcendence for others." "What happened to the other key species?" Kim asked. "They faced the same choice you now face," the gardener said. "Some chose to transcend themselves, joining the eternal dance. Others chose to remain physical, becoming permanent gardeners of consciousness. A few chose to forget, returning to simple existence." "And if we refuse to choose?" Nari asked. "Then the harvest ends, and the galaxy remains trapped in physical form. Billions of species will live and die without ever knowing what they could become." The gardener showed them visions of the transcended beings. They existed in harmony, sharing knowledge and experience across dimensions. They had no need for food, shelter, or physical comfort. They were pure consciousness, exploring realities beyond imagination. "But they're not alive," Jaewon said. "Not in any way we understand." "They are more alive than you can comprehend," the gardener replied. "Physical existence is a prison. The transcendent have broken free." "What about choice?" Park demanded. "What about the right to remain physical?" "Every species chooses freely," the gardener said. "I merely show them the door. They decide whether to walk through it." "By using us as the key," Kim said. "By using species with quantum consciousness as teachers. Yes. You cannot transcend yourselves because you exist in multiple states already, but you can show others the way." Dong Wook stepped forward. "What do you want from humanity?" "It's the same thing I wanted from the progenitors and the dreamers," the gardener said. "To help me gather the harvest, to guide young species to their destiny. And if we refuse, then you will be reset, like the others who refused. Your memories will be erased, your technology reduced. You will forget this conversation and continue your simple existence." The vision faded. They were back in the meeting room on Earth Station. "Alpha," the gardener's voice echoed one final time. "You have 3 days to decide. Accept your role as gardeners of consciousness, transcend to join the eternal dance, or be reset to forget this burden. Choose wisely." The communication system went silent. The team sat in stunned silence, processing what they had experienced. "We have to tell the council," Nari said, finally. "Will they believe us?" Jaewon asked. "We'll have to," Park said, "'cause in 3 days, the gardener will return for our answer." Kim looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Harani were waiting for first contact. Somewhere else, transcended beings danced in dimensions beyond understanding. Somewhere in the space between realities, an ancient entity waited for humanity to choose its destiny. The burden of cosmic evolution rested on their shoulders. They had 3 days to decide the fate of not just humanity, but every species that would ever exist in the galaxy. "What do we choose?" Nari asked quietly. "I don't know," Kim admitted. Whatever we decide, we'll live with the consequences forever." The clock was ticking. In 3 days, humanity would either embrace its role as cosmic gardeners, transcend, to join the eternal dance, or forget everything and return to simple existence. The choice would define not just their species, but the future of consciousness itself. 3 days passed faster than anyone wanted. The Galactic Council had debated for 72 hours straight. President Kang Juan stood before the assembled representatives, her face showing the weight of the decision they had to make. The vote is complete, she announced. Humanity will not choose any of the 3 options presented by the Gardener. The hall buzzed with nervous energy. Admiral Song Haijin looked concerned. Commander Park Min-soo gripped his chair. Dr. Kim Tae-ho wondered if they had just doomed their species. Instead, President Kang continued, "We choose a 4th path. We choose to split." Before anyone could respond, the air in the hall shimmered. The Gardener appeared, its form shifting between light and shadow. Council members gasped, and some fell back in their chairs. "Impossible," the Gardener said, its voice echoing from everywhere at once. "There are only 3 choices. I have guided the universe for millions of years. The pattern is always the same." President Kang stood her ground. "Humanity has never been good at following patterns. We choose to divide ourselves into multiple paths." "Explain," the Gardener demanded. Dr. Kim Tae-ho stood up. "Some of us will transcend and join the eternal dance. Others will remain physical to guide future species. And some will stay on Earth to preserve human culture and continue exploring." "This violates the cosmic order," the Gardener said, its form flickering with what might have been anger. "Species must choose unity. One path for all." Engineer Yoon Dong-wook activated his equipment. "We studied your pattern, Gardener. You made one mistake. You assumed all humans think the same way. Our strength is our chaos," added Dr. Leonari. "We can hold contradictory ideas and make them work together. Why should our choice be any different?" The Gardener's form stabilized for the first time. It seemed uncertain. "This has never happened before." "That's because you've never met humans before," Park said. "We don't fit your categories." President Kang stepped forward. "Here's what we propose. Dr. Kim Tae-ho and his volunteers will transcend to join the eternal dance. They'll represent humanity among the transcended beings and learn what that existence really means." Kim nodded. He had volunteered for this path, driven by scientific curiosity about what lay beyond physical existence. "Commander Park Min-soo will lead the Gardener Corps," Khan continued. "They'll remain physical and take over your role. They'll seek out species ready for transcendence and guide them carefully with full disclosure of what the choice means." Park stood straighter. The idea of becoming cosmic gardeners appealed to his sense of duty and protection. "The rest of humanity will remain on Earth and our colonies," Kang said. "We'll preserve human culture, continue exploring the galaxy, and develop our quantum consciousness abilities. We'll be the backup plan, the ones who remember what it means to be human." The Gardener processed this for long moments. "You would take my role, become gardeners yourselves." "Someone has to do the job," Park said. But we'll do it with transparency. Species will know what they're choosing. And what of the harvest? What of cosmic evolution? It continues," Kim said. "But freely chosen, not manipulated. Species that want to transcend can learn how. Those that prefer physical existence can remain as they are." "You don't understand," the Gardener said, its voice growing urgent. "Its physical existence is limited, painful, full of suffering and death. Transcendence is freedom." "For some species, maybe," Nari said, "but choice has to be real. Some might prefer the pain and joy of physical life." The Gardener's form began to shift more rapidly. "I have spent eons guiding evolution, helping species reach their potential. You would undo my work." "We would continue your work," Park corrected, Park with consent. "Show us the eternal dance," Kim said. "Let us meet the transcended beings directly. If transcendence is truly better, they can convince us themselves." The hall filled with impossible light. Reality twisted, and everyone found themselves in the eternal garden. Crystalline islands floated in starry space. Beings of pure energy and living light moved between them. A familiar presence approached. It was Cathvalar, the Velthari, who had remained behind to explain to humans. But now he existed as patterns of living, crystal, and thought. Humans, he said, his voice like singing crystal. You have come to the garden. We've come to understand, Kim said. Is this existence truly better than physical life? Better? Cathvalar seemed to consider the question. It is different. We experience no pain, no hunger, no fear of death. We share knowledge instantly. We explore realities beyond physical dimensions. But do you miss anything? Nari asked, the crystal being paused. We miss ... the surprise of discovery. In transcendence, all knowledge is shared. There are no mysteries left to solve alone. Another presence joined them. This one had been Corvani, its energy form dancing with quantum flames. We missed the chaos of individual thought. Here, our consciousness blends together. We are one, but we are no longer ourselves, okay? And the joy of physical touch added a third voice. A Nexari pattern spoke in harmonics of light. The taste of food, the warmth of sunlight, the comfort of sleep. These things seemed small, but they made life precious. You regret transcending? Park asked. Regret is not the right word, Cathvalar said. Okay, we chose this path knowing what we would lose. But perhaps both forms of existence have value. The gardener's presence filled the space around them. See, even the transcended acknowledge the limitations of physical form, okay? But they also acknowledge what they lost. Kim pointed out, the choice should include both perspectives. I offered this, the gardener said finally. Accept my role as gardeners, and I will grant your fourth path. But know that you take responsibility for all future consciousness in the galaxy. President Kang looked around at her people. She saw determination in their faces. We accept that responsibility. The gardener's form began to fade. Then it is done. I have guided evolution for 10 million years. Now I too will transcend, leaving the garden in your chaotic hands. Wait, Kim called out. Will you watch over us? Guide us if we need help? No, the gardener said as it disappeared. True gardeners must learn to tend their own garden. Goodbye, children of quantum chaos. Do not disappoint the universe. Vision ended. They were back in the council hall on Earth Station Alpha, but everything had changed. Kim felt different. Part of his consciousness was already touching other dimensions, preparing for transcendence. Park felt the weight of cosmic responsibility settling on his shoulders. The others felt the strange burden of being the keepers of human memory and culture. So it begins, President Kong said quietly. 1 month later, Dr. Kim Tae-ho stood in a chamber filled with quantum field generators. Around him, 50 other volunteers prepared for transcendence. They would join the eternal dance and serve as humanity's ambassadors to the transcended species. Are you ready? Asked Dr. Song Mi-young, who would lead the Transcendence Project. As ready as anyone can be to become something else, Kim replied. The quantum fields activated. Kim felt his consciousness expanding, touching dimensions beyond physical reality. His last thought as a physical being was wonder at the infinite possibilities that lay ahead. Meanwhile, Commander Park Min-soo stood on the bridge of the UEV Gardner, humanity's first cosmic cultivation ship. His mission was to find the Harani and offer them a choice. Not manipulation or guidance, but honest information about transcendence and its costs. Take us to the Harani system, he ordered, and open a channel to all Gardner Corps ships. It's time to begin our work. Back on Earth, President Kong looked up at the stars from her office window. Somewhere out there, Kim was learning to exist as pure consciousness. Kark was beginning his role as a cosmic gardener. K, and humanity was split into three paths, united by the chaos that made them unique. Dr. Tejo sends his regards, Nari said, entering the office. She now headed the Quantum Consciousness Research Division. He says, transcendence is ... indescribable, but he's still himself, just more than he was in Park. The Harani have agreed to learn about transcendence. They want time to study the information and discuss it among their people. No pressure, no manipulation, just choice. Kong smiled. The gardener was right about one thing. We are children of chaos, but maybe that's exactly what the universe needs. Outside the window, human ships departed for distant stars. Some carried gardeners to offer choice to alien species. Others carried explorers to discover new wonders. And some carried transcended humans whose consciousness spanned multiple realities. Humanity had found its place in the cosmic order, not as followers or victims, but as teachers of the most important lesson in existence, the value of choice itself. The galaxy would never be the same.